There's a kind of loneliness that doesn't go away even when the people that you love are in the room. And then there's a different kind, the quiet kind, even when they leave the room. Hi, welcome to Conversation with Friends. I'm your host, Jubilee Gamaniel. And this podcast is exactly what it sounds like. Real, honest conversation about motherhood, womanhood, and becoming her in real time. Growing up in Nigeria and watching the way that the women around me, my aunts, my mother, cared for the women who gave birth in our family. An example will be, which is my lived experience when I was in Nigeria, is I remember one time my aunt had given birth to her son, and I remember her coming to live with us for 30 days. Like, when I tell you, they were like soaking her up in love. When she arrived, they were giving her baths. Like, when I tell you, really warm baths, warm towels. They were making her like spicy soup that she was eating with like cow leg, which is like such a thing in Nigerian culture, where when you give birth, they make cow leg for you. And I think it's because of the collagen, but I digress. And then they were like taking care. She barely saw her baby because they were taking the baby. When the baby needed to be breastfed, they bring the baby to her. She'll breastfeed the baby. They allowed her rest. They allowed her sleep. But not just that, she was constantly having people come in to check on her, laughing, a little kiki, a little kaka here. And in that moment, I did not realize that for me, that was setting up the blueprint of what motherhood should look like, or what the journey towards motherhood should look like. And so there was a part of me when I had my baby that grieved that part, grieved not having that experience, grieved not having the aunts coming in, or grieved not having like all of these things made for me. And don't get me wrong, when I gave birth, my mom came to spend 6 weeks with me here, which now when I say it honestly was not enough. Like, bring her back. No, but seriously, she came to spend 6 weeks with me. And while she was here, it felt so good because the entire time during my pregnancy, there was a certain level of loneliness that I felt because I was separated from not just my family, but also I was separated from my chosen family, which are my friends who were not with me, were far away from me. And so there was that emotional drain for me during the pregnancy. And so it was really good to have my mom here. She was cooking all the familiar things that I could eat. Like, oh man, like she was making pepper soup for me. She was making like local dishes from where I am in Nigeria. And it just felt so good because every time I would lay down in bed or every time I would wake up, she had already made breakfast, lunch, dinner. She would take the baby and she would be taking care of him while I was able to take like a long shower. And listen, that woman will remind me, you've not eaten. I didn't see you eat. Did you eat this? She's like giving me things to eat. And it felt so good. It reminded me of that feeling, that blueprint that in my head lived for what motherhood should look like, or what the journey towards motherhood and community really looks like. And I think that this is something that especially like immigrants can relate to, especially when you leave your country, because most communities, right? Most places have like communities. You have a village that helps you raise the child, but not just that, it kind of helps you heal from giving birth because they understand how tasking it is. And I know they do not have a word for it like here where we're like, oh, postpartum depression. But they do know that it's very challenging emotionally and physically on the woman. And so the way that they show up, it's that. Like, they really show up. And so her just being here during those 6 weeks just felt so good. In that moment, it just felt so good because it was like a daughter needing her mother in that moment. I needed my mother in that moment, and it felt so good, right? It felt so good to be cared for. It felt so good to be just poured into, to be nurtured. And that was just such a beautiful moment for the both of us. And so when it came time for her to leave, listen, that was hard for me. That was very challenging for me because all of the emotions there to settle in. I remember I was in the living room listening to music with my baby, like dancing and listening to music. And my mom came and she just literally tapped my shoulder. And let me tell you, I broke down. I was crying. I was bawling out my eyes. And she was like, oh my God, what's wrong? And I'm like, because you're leaving. I don't want you to leave. And, she had to leave. But that made a huge difference. And it made me realize that I don't think motherhood was supposed to be done alone. We need women generally, and mothers do need community. And I know there's a lot of conversation online, meaning like you can be your own village, but no. We need community interactions. We need to be able to talk to people, interact with people, be able to not be consumed only by being a mother, because this is such a huge role that you're being thrown into. And as much as people always say to you like, oh my god, it's going to be challenging, it's going to be this, it just felt in for me in that moment, it just felt so overwhelming, because in theory it makes sense, but in practice it just felt like it was a lot, right? And not just that, also I missed that, like being able to rely on the experience. Like for example, when my mom was here, right, she was making foods that she knew would be more nutritious for me and will help me heal faster. When she was giving my baby a bath or she was cleaning him, she was showing me all of these things, and it felt good to be able to learn from her, because she's had this experience. The things that you will not read in books, the things that you will not learn like online, or the things that people will not necessarily say in videos, but just watching her the way that she did and being able to learn from her was just such a great thing. And my mom now knew how to navigate her conversations with me during that time as well. She didn't make it feel like, oh, I'm the master at this. No, she was able to just allow me exist in being a first time mom and watching me and suggesting corrections, right? She'll suggest corrections if she sees me like doing it over and over again and it's not working. She'll suggest, but she's like, oh no, but whatever you think is fine. So I really appreciated that as well. And so since I so since I already had the experience of pregnancy and I already understood how I felt and how I knew that it was just overwhelming and a lot for me, right before I stepped in, because I was reading a lot of books, I was reading a lot of things as a new mom. I'm sure you can relate as a new mom. I mean, if you're even trying to do anything new, you want to know more about it, you want to learn more about it. And for me, I was learning so much and I was reading so much, like I wanted to like just educate myself on a lot of things. And one of the biggest things that really helped me was I wrote a letter to all of my friends, because they weren't here physically with me, they weren't here in the process with me. So I wrote a letter to each and every one of them, and in that letter I asked them to please check on me during postpartum, because I did not know how it was going to hit me. So please check on me. I wanted them to call me and still tell me the stories about their lives. I wanted to hear the things that were happening. I wanted them to even text me, like even if it was a voice note, send me a voice note about what's going on in your life. I want to know. Like I want to be in the know. I do not want to be consumed completely by just being a mother. And I get it. Soak all of it, bask in all of it. But I also do not want to have that as the only thing that was there, because after my mom left, there was like this dead silence. Whenever the baby was sleeping, there was this dead silence and this feeling of I'm just alone. And especially because I was also living in a city that was new to me. And so I really had not built so much community, but I have to give a shout out to the women that I met here. Listen, I will always, 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 always say that women are just it, man. Like, I don't even know. Like, women just get it, and women know these things, because it's crazy. When I got here, the women that were here, the way that they showed up for me, they didn't even know me for that long, but the way that they showed up for me, the way that they literally threw me a baby shower. Like that's how it really was. And they had barely known me for over a year, which was such an incredible gift. And I really do appreciate that. But yeah, there was just like a certain loneliness after my mom left, like just the quiet. And then there was like the constant crying of the baby, because I needed to feed him. I needed to do that. I needed to do all of these things. I needed to feed him. I needed to change his diapers. I needed to make sure he was okay. And I was learning as I was going too, right? I'm making my mistakes as I'm going. And it just felt so overwhelming. So sometimes when I lay down in the quiet, or when he's taking a nap and it was just quiet, and I did not want to doom scroll or go on social media and just kind of see and compare my motherhood journey to somebody else's, what I did was just told my friends, please send me voice notes about what's happening in your life. Like you don't even have to send a text, because I know a text is so hard to like write a whole thing, but just speak into your phone, send it to me, and they will send me things that were happening to them. Sometimes they will call me on FaceTime and we'll be talking, and it just felt good to actually just talk to someone. And it felt good to be able to hear the stories and see the things that were happening to them outside of me. And it was just so beautiful for me, just so beautiful, so beautiful, and such an important part of my journey. Honestly, I highly recommend. I highly, highly recommend like just letting your friends know what you want, just letting your friends know what it is that you want from them and how you want them to show up. And I promise you, they will show up because man showed up. And I really believe that women at the tea, women at the tea. Okay. And I remember in the middle of all of this asking myself, who am I becoming outside of where I was formed? Because my friends and my family represented familiarity, they represented stability, they represented home for me. And being in a new environment and stepping into a completely new role just felt both overwhelming. Well, it felt overwhelming. It definitely felt isolating, but at the same time, also, it kind of opened me up a little bit, kind of cracked me open, and made me see how much resilience I have. And it kind of forced me to want to grow and show up for myself and say to myself, like, hey, if you don't have community here, are we just going to sit down and just fold our arms and not do anything? I had to remind myself and I had to force myself to like get up. In the words of Sarah Jake Roberts, get up, girl, get up, girl, get up, girl, get up, girl, get up. In her words, truly, it forced me to like really get up. Like, don't get me wrong, I cried, I really bawled it out, I let those tears out, I let all of the emotions out. Sometimes, I still cry in the shower, that's the truth. But I let all of those emotions out, I let it all out, and then I said, I need to get up, I need to get my pink back, I need to do things that make me happy, I need to do things, even if it's just for a little bit, that just made me feel good about myself during the day. I didn't have to do much. I just needed to do one thing in my day that felt like success. And thinking that kind of like made a shift in my mindset, got me to start thinking and start seeing like, you can do this. Like, you can actually do this. Like, there's women all around the world who are doing this every day, so you can do it, right? And so it kind of had a way of like pushing me to want more, but not just want more, but to do more. And for me, I think that this is how culture, migration, and isolation kind of shaped my motherhood journey. My motherhood journey reminded me that motherhood in itself should not be done in isolation. Yes, you can pick yourself up. Yes, you can fight. Yes, you can try to get your pink back. Yes, you can do all of these things by yourself. But why do you have to? In the words of my friend Joyce, why will I pick labor over a soft life? So it would have been nice to have that the entire time, like, after birth. But that was not my reality because, again, I'm in a different country. That's one. But not just that, also, I'm in a different state completely from what formed my entire adult life, and everything that felt familiar, everything that felt stable, everything that felt like home for me was completely removed. And so it felt very overwhelming. It felt very isolating. But again, like I said, it has reminded me that motherhood should not be done in isolation. One of the biggest reasons why I wanted to talk about this is because I'm sitting now 10 months postpartum, and I'm thinking to myself, and I went back to my journal where I have written about my journey and just the beginning parts of it. As an immigrant, I'm learning that the blueprint that I thought motherhood would look like for me was not, because it was the complete opposite of what it was supposed to be in my head. And so it took me a very long time to be able to adjust. It took me a very long time to be able to pick myself back up. And again, there's nothing wrong with taking your time, because truly, I think motherhood is one of those things that forces you to slow down, forces you to slow down, forces you to take some time to introspect. Like, it really does, right? And so now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, motherhood should definitely not be done in isolation. So I want to say to any mother who's out there, or to any woman who is right now on her pregnancy journey and is thinking to herself, I do not have the village, I do not have the community, and is feeling overwhelmed, I promise you, your feelings are valid, because truly, it felt that way for me as well. And I'm still on the journey, and I'm documenting it now because I want there to be conversations about the middle, right? Because I think a lot of us talk about, oh, I've hit rock bottom, and then we come back when we've had the success story to share. But I think sometimes it's important to share the middle, because that's where people really get inspired from. That's where people really feel not alone. That's where people feel like they have community. And that's where people feel like, okay, I'm not alone. My feelings are valid. I'm not going crazy, And for me, that's how I felt. Like sometimes when I'll go to like look for videos or look for things, and I'll see, I'll be like, oh, there's light at the end of the tunnel. But I'm like, when you were in the tunnel, what were you feeling? I want to know what you were feeling in the tunnel, because I want that to validate what I'm feeling right now in the tunnel. Because believe it or not, when you're in the middle of it, you ain't seeing no lights. The lights that someone tells you, oh, there's light at the end of the tunnel, the light seems so far. Like you're like, what light? What light are you talking about? Because all I see is darkness. Okay. All I see is isolation. All I see is sadness. All I see is brokenness. All I see is this woman that I'm looking in the mirror and I do not recognize. I do not recognize her physically. I do not recognize her emotionally. I remember literally looking in the mirror one time and I was just looking at my face and it felt so unfamiliar. Like I just felt like, who's this person in this mirror? Like it just felt so unfamiliar to me. And yeah, like it's a lot. It really is a lot. But yeah, I wanted to talk about this. But yeah, like being a mom and going through the pregnancy and going through postpartum and going through the journey of it is definitely isolating. Even when there's people in the room who care about you, even when there's people in the room who show up for you, right? And it's also isolating when you're by yourself as well. So it's like there's never a win-win. But I'm hoping that the light that everyone is talking about that is at the end of the tunnel, I cannot wait to meet her. I cannot wait to meet that light and be like, hello, give me that light. I'm here. Give it to me now. Thank you. Put it in my hands because I deserve this light. But yeah, if you're in the middle of it right now and you're still figuring out the journey and you're still figuring out what motherhood looks like for you or what being a mom looks like for you, I want to let you know that you are not alone, because I feel exactly the same way and we are all just figuring it out in real time. And this is one of the reasons why I built this podcast, and this is one of the reasons why I built this platform, because I want a space where women can feel safe, women can have safe conversations, be vulnerable, be honest with each other, so that way we can learn from each other and evolve, because becoming her is going to take a village. And sometimes that village is online, and sometimes that village is strangers that you've just met on the internet, right? And sometimes, that village is your family, that village are your friends. And sometimes it's, like I said, it's strangers, and you kind of just learn what you want to. And like I like to say, take what you want and leave what you don't, please. And if this resonated with you, share this with a mom, share this with someone who you know needed to hear this, share this with someone who is in the middle right now and feels alone and doesn't feel validated in the way that they feel, or not feeling validated in the things that they're going through. Send this and share this with them. I truly hope that you enjoyed this episode. Do not forget to like, do not forget to share, and do not forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more episodes and conversations like this. And let me know also in the comment section, what are you struggling with right now in the middle? Like, what is it that you're struggling with? What is it that you need validation for? Or what is it that you wish more women talked about, so that way we can have some little kikis and kakas in the comment section, and we can also share from experiences and also feel heard and seen. Take what you want, leave what you don't, and I will see you on the next episode. Thank you so much for trusting me with your time. Bye.